Okay, here is the question.
How does sound travel?
How does sound travel?
Sound waves.
It travels with sound waves.
Sound waves.
It travels in
Sound wave.
waves, right? So it would look a little bit like this. Now there's a, stop and listen. Eyes on the board, please. So there's two different parts to a sound wave, Alex. There's two different parts to a sound wave. There's a compression and a rarefaction. Okay? Now, here's the thing about, you gonna be okay? Here's the thing about sound waves, or air molecules, okay? Air molecules don't like each other, and they don't like to be next to each other. So any opportunity they can get, they move away from each other. That's why the wind blows. Okay? So, for instance, if I had a low pressure system in one area where the air molecules are nice and far from each other, and then I have a high pressure system where they're closer than they want to be, where are they going to move? Hannah? Olivia?
Up.
Up? Good answer. Anybody else? Down? So I have a low pressure system where there's
Higher pressure?
I have a low pressure system where there's lots of room. And then I have a high pressure system where there's not much room. So where are they going to move?
They're going to move to the high pressure because there's not.
They're going to move to the
Low.
low pressure because that's where they want to be. They want to be away from each other. So that's why the wind blows, right? So, keyboards off, please. If I have a compression wave, they're moving towards each other. To compress means to tighten, right? So what do you think happens after they've moved together? They move, right, Olivia, they move apart, right? Because they don't want to be next to each other. So that's where we get our wave. They move together and then they move apart. They move together and then they move apart, okay? Now, this is kind of experimental, but I want to go out into the hallway and see if we can move like a wave, okay? So you're gonna stand in two lines facing each other, and then I'm gonna come out and teach you how we're gonna move. Okay, we have 2, 4, 6, 12. So I will have to hold the camera, right? So let's go out into the hall.
You know when we're in a pirate and you want that like sound that's not really there? Is that,
Overtones?
yeah, is
It's
that,
related. It's related. Okay, so two lines facing each other.
I'm gonna be right here by Hannah.
Yeah. So Hannah or Olivia, you're going to be facing Demarius, right? And let's actually go all the way to the walls. All the way to the walls. Okay? Anika, come on. So we need 2 more people over on this side. Okay? So you should be facing somebody. And we're going to start with Olivia and Demarius. And you're going to move towards each other, right? And then when you get really close, you're going to move away from each other. So this is going to be tricky because you're going to have to walk backwards, right? So as soon as the people in front of you start moving, then the next people should start moving, right? The next pair. So it should look...
Can I go shut it? Can I go shut it?
So it should look like a this?
My locker.
It should look like a wave, right? It should move like a wave. Okay, so here we go. Some of you might not look very good because you weren't listening, right? So the first 2 people are going to move. No. So here's, I'm going to count you down. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, you're gonna move, and then it's right after they move,
So Olivia,
you're gonna
so, like,
move.
Olivia goes
Right.
forward, and then
So
I
you're
go
gonna go
forward,
all the way forward, and then as soon as you get close to each other, you're gonna move
and then
back.
I'm gonna go like that and back up.
Right, so you should be right behind the people in front of you.
Okay.
Okay, let's try it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. Nice. And then it'll start, and then you'll go back the other direction. Okay, so Fabian and Alex, you'll start. Okay, here we go. Starting from the other side, and then we'll keep it going. Right. And then you start, Demarius and Olivia, then you guys start. Okay? Yeah, keep it going. Keep it going. Yeah, and then Alex and Fabian, you come right back in. Go. Well, we're not. Okay, you get it. Let's go back in the classroom.
I accidentally like ran into a locker, so now it's like the lock.
Well, that must have hurt.
Buggy boys, right? Buggy boys. I got too buggy.
Okay. Does anybody know how sound is measured? Stop and listen, please. Listen. Sound is measured in a couple of different ways. Okay? Talent?
You can just play something and then just keep going.
Keyboard's up. Measure with a ruler?
You could though.
Well, kind of. We'll actually talk about. We'll actually talk a little bit about that. Okay. So, eyes on the board, please. People, keyboards off. Keyboards off. Eyes up front. Okay. CPS stands for cycles per second. Okay? So, what a cycle is like when we went through that wave, right? We compressed and then we rarefacted. We moved together and then we moved apart, right? So, one compression and one rarefaction is a cycle, okay? Another way that this is measured, which you've probably heard, is hertz. Raise your hand if you've heard hertz before, okay? So if you have a radio station that you listen to, what's a radio station you listen to? Town? 98.5.
I think it's something 0.2.
Yeah.
103.
So I have 98.5, and I have what? 103? Z103? Okay. So, these are hertz. Okay, this is a specific frequency in which your station travels. Okay, and then your radio picks up that frequency. So 98.5 would be 98.5 megahertz, and 103.3 would be 103.3 megahertz. Okay, so you didn't know that, but your radio stations are traveling through the air like all the time.
Is that why when you lose a signal, it gets scratchy because you're out of range?
Right, you're out of range, exactly. Okay? So, how does this relate to piano specifically?
Because piano's fun.
Okay, but how does sound waves and these frequency types, which I didn't write hertz looks like this. Hannah?
It's because pianos give off sound waves.
They do, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Every pitch has its own specific sound wave, okay? So if I play, Gavin, would you go ahead and unplug for a second? If I play this A above middle C, which is called A4, anybody have a guess or know how many hertz that is?
165.
Would it be how high it is on the piano?
2?
Z103.
I can tell you it's way more than 2.
Isn't the number like
Z103.
like from 1 to like however many?
No, but good guess. Okay, A4 equals 440 hertz, okay? And a lot of tuning, especially like in an orchestra, is based around A, okay? So 440 hertz is a very important frequency in music, okay? Now, 440 hertz is the same thing as 440 CPS, or cycles per second, okay? So, in 1 second, that frequency is moving like this 440 times. 440 times per second, okay? So it's moving really, really fast.
Is that why it's hard to tune pianos or it's so expensive because you have to get it exactly right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And those people have to be really, really good at their job, right? Yeah. And these obviously wouldn't need tuned because they're not acoustic pianos, but
These are legit pianos.
right, they're keyboards, okay? I need a volunteer. Fabian. And I'll need another volunteer later, okay?
Sup, you two?
And I should have set this up before class, but Fabian, I need you to think of something that you are going to say that is obviously appropriate for school. And I am going to record you saying it, and then we are going to look at what your voice
Sounds like. Hold up.
looks like in Soundwaves.
I want to do
Okay?
it. Alright, I'm ready.
If I can get this cap out of the.
Cat? What cat? Oh, I thought you said a cat.
Cat.
No cat.
No cat.
No cat.
Section 7 is only 24 if you.
You feel me, G? So am I supposed to draw my word?
No, you can just think of it.
Make up a word?
Not a word, but like a sentence.
Oh, about what?
It can be whatever you want.
The
You could say something like, I had Wheaties for breakfast. I don't care. Just as long as you say something.
What if you didn't
What's
have
Wheaties?
You probably
Say the octopus is drowning.
Louder. What's Wheaties?
It's a specific brand of breakfast cereal.
Dude, say the octopus is drowning.
The octopus is drowning?
Yeah.
Okay. You could say that if you want to. You don't have to stand in front of me.
The
You
octopus
can
looks
move.
like you're.
I'm just putting it
The
on the
octopus
board.
is drowning.
Baby, what's my grade?
I'm not
Hey, raise your hand if you've heard of an application called Audacity.
No.
Anybody?
I have no idea what it means, so don't ask.
Do people watch your vlogs?
So this is actually a free software. Okay, so you can download this for free, and you can do this kind of stuff at home as well. So Fabian, let's move you close to my laptop, okay? Because I'm gonna record you from just my laptop's microphone. Okay, you got your sentence?
The octopus is drowning.
Can I just say, Alex got a biscuit?
Yeah, you can say that.
What?
Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna count you down. 3,
That's a singing?
and I only want to hear Fabian. Okay, so everybody else has got to hear.
Off your foot.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Alex got a biscuit.
Okay, so you can see
That was quiet.
kind of the sound wave here, right?
Am I supposed to say it louder?
Maybe with
They didn't hear me, so I
maybe
It's
with more
okay, it's okay.
expression.
Thank you, you can go
Like,
sit.
you're gonna say-
You wanna say it louder?
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I see it next?
Maybe with more expression.
here we go.
The octopus is drowning.
3, 2, 1.
Alex got a buzz cut.
Okay, this is an interesting thing. So, what was different between the first and second recording as far as the waves?
They're
They're much bigger, right?
Yeah.
So if they're quiet,
They're tiny.
they look this way, but honestly, we're gonna analyze this wave a little more in depth. Thank you, Fabian. You can go snap.
Can I be in next month too?
Okay, so if you wanted to do this at home,
did you say?
here's what you're gonna have to do. Listen, please. You're gonna have to record, well, first of all, if you don't have Audacity, you're gonna have to download it, right? But then you record yourself saying something, highlight the section, and then you go to Analyze and Plot Spectrum. Okay? And it did nothing. Let's try that again, shall we?
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
Well, I actually already tested it and it worked just fine.
It's probably because of the camera.
Are you gonna play back his voice but make it quieter or louder?
Yeah, only like my voice.
Alright, I was correct?
Yeah.
Can you do that? Make his voice louder or louder?
The octopus was drowning.
What?
You did.
Let's see if this
Alex
works.
got a buzz cut.
Alex got-
Okay, I don't know why it didn't process, but anyway.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Okay.
already loving it.
I need a tissue.
Okay, eyes on the board, please. Shh. Now, you see this little Hz?
Yeah.
That's your hertz. Okay, so that's how many cycles per second. If you look over here, I have 50 hertz, and then it goes all the way up to 20,000 hertz. Okay? So, if I have 20,000 hertz, it's really, really fast, right? It's 20,000 cycles per second. Now, I did have some frequencies that were all the way up almost to 20,000 hertz. That's wicked fast, right? But I also have some that were traveling rather slow. 50 hertz, right? It's only 50 cycles per second as opposed to 20,000. Now, where is the highest peak?
In the middle.
It's right here, right?
Yeah. Chest.
So it's about
10,000.
It's in between here, so it's probably about 900 hertz, 900 cycles per second, right? So let's talk about what's on the left. On the bottom I have my hertz, how many cycles per second, how fast it's traveling. On the left side here, I have dB. Is anybody in this sound wave world, anybody have any idea what dB stands for?
DVD.
Decibel. Have you heard that word before?
No, it sounds like
Decibels. Okay? So decibels is how loud or intense the sound is. Okay? So if I have this high peak here, is it louder or is it traveling faster?
Louder.
It's louder. Okay? So Mr. Louder, his loudest frequency was about 900 hertz, right? Because if I go this direction, that means it's louder. Decibels means louder. Hertz means faster, and they're like computer timed out. Anyway, so you can do that at home. You can record something like that, and you can look at your voice frequency. Do you think? Shh. Do you think that if I recorded a specific vowel, that the sound wave would look different?
Yes, probably.
Do you want to find out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to sing an E vowel, okay, and we'll see if the frequency looks a little different, okay? Shh, but you gotta be quiet. E,
Figaro.
Figaro.
Okay. So how did I? Well, let's see the all the time. You're not saying that. I have to deal with that.
Okay, shh. Now let's look at this.
Look at myself.
Is 400.
So where is my highest peak?
Oh, I'm right
In the left corner.
400.
Now what's really interesting about this
It goes
is
straight across.
you see a lot more sharp peaks, right?
Yeah.
And the other one, you didn't have these sharp peaks. Okay? Now, if I was to say why I thought that was, it would probably be my vibrato, right? Because it's going back and forth really quickly in between frequencies. But let's see, what's my highest frequency?
Pretty high.
Which one is it?
The 400.
So somewhere, is it 400?
Yeah.
Or is this one even a little bit higher?
Oh, wait, that one's a little
Teeny
bit
tiny
higher.
bit higher, right? So my frequency would be around 200, right? So did you know that if you're singing a specific vowel, it has a specific frequency to it? So if we were to say an E vowel is at a 200, we're probably pretty close, okay? Except it matters what pitch I was singing, right? Because I actually don't know what pitch I'm singing, but while I'm thinking about that, here is my highest peak. If I put my cursor somewhere on that purple stuff, shh, gentlemen, can we listen?
Yes.
Do you see this down here? Where it says cursor?
Yeah.
So if I have my cursor on there, it will change the note. You see where it says G3? It tells me that is a G3 where I've got my cursor. So I was singing a G, and it's also 191 hertz. It's traveling at 191 cycles per second. Okay?
Okay.
Pretty cool stuff, huh?
Yep.
That's what sound looks like. Okay?
You were singing this? G3?
G, yep, that would be G3. Okay. I need a different font.
Can I please go?
Anika.
Oh, wait, what are we doing?
You're supposed to.
Raise your hand if you have heard the word resonance.
Me, I'm the evil.
No, not resident, but resonance. Looks like this.
Dominic over there.
Please, thank you.
Raise your hand if you've heard that word before, resonance. Okay. Anika, come here.
You're the vlog now.
I'll do it. She doesn't want to be in the video.
Do it for you.
Ooh, I like those. I'll do it.
You don't want to be in the video?
I'm just scared.
Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Nobody's gonna see it except for my online class, and I don't care.
Who's your
So-
online class?
A bunch of older people.
There's Uranus.
I'm aware of that. Okay. Anybody know what these are called?
The tuners.
They're ours. They're toothpicks.
Hands, please. Gavin. It's a tuning fork. Okay. So both of these, interesting enough, I was talking about A440. This is an A440. Okay.
Every single note.
This is also middle C, which happens to be 261 hertz. Okay. So these are two different pitches. Now I'm gonna teach you how to make these work. Okay. So come here for a second. Sometimes I hit them on bones that kind of hurts after a while. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna hit it on the table. Hear it?
Yeah, those are cool. We already heard
Here.
it in Miss Coleman's class.
Okay, so if I hit it on the table
You
and then
can
I
hear.
put it up to my ear, I can hear the pitch.
Makes a
Okay? It vibrates in between the two pieces of metal. So everybody come form a line and we're gonna all listen to the pitch. Okay? And then we'll do your finger.
No. And put it on metal and like it
Okay,
What's up, vlog?
so once you've heard it, you can just go back to your seat, okay? Well, you can just stay up here because you're gonna be my volunteer.
Yeah, you can use volunteer.
It almost tingles your ear hairs.
Does. Ear hairs.
You hear it?
You're up.
You hear it.
I know.
That's a no. I can. Alright, here we go. Full honky. I just put that smile. Okay, go sit down.
Hold up. Do it one more time.
Floor.
Hey!
You hear it? Hear it? Hey! Go sit down, please. Except for Anika. Okay. Sit down. What's happening is the sound waves traveling there, right? At 261 cycles per second. And then it's, well, if you got it up to your ear, it's traveling right into your ear.
Yep.
So, there's two different kinds of resonance.
There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And the big horse. Horse.
Gentlemen, forced and sympathetic. Okay, Anika, come here. Okay, so what Anika is gonna do is she's gonna hit, and then she's gonna put it on the wood.
Oh, yeah.
See what happens.
Slap it as
And
loud
that's
as
what
you
it's called
can.
here.
It sounds good. It's like, oh.
Okay, listen. So you're gonna make sure that you only touch right here, and then you're gonna set it down on the table.
Slap it loud.
Loud.
I'm scared.
Don't be
I'll do
scared.
it.
I've done it before.
Do it.
Just make sure you hit it hard enough that it actually.
I'll do it.
Go.
Do it.
Go.
I don't think that sounds clear. I don't think that sounds clear.
Okay. Shh. Listen. Do you hear it?
That
is
amazing, Jorvis.
So, thank you, Anika. You can go sit down.
That's amazing.
Now, what's happening?
Sound vibrations are going through the wood.
Thank you, Hannah. Next time, wait for me. Okay. Shh. You all right?
My finger, I have my leg and I put my finger in there and it like cut my finger from the hand.
Don't hurt yourself. Hannah's absolutely right. I'm taking that pitch and I'm putting it into the wood. It's traveling through the wood and actually making a sound. Now, what kind of resonance do you think this is? Forced or sympathetic? Gavin,
Oh, I was gonna ask if I could go to the bathroom.
can you wait like 6 minutes?
Is that when class is over? I have math next.
Isn't it forced because you're the one putting it on the wood?
Listen. Sorry, Hannah, you're gonna have to start over.
Isn't it forced because you're the one putting it on the wood and the sound just isn't going to it by on its own?
Exactly. So it's forced resonance because I'm taking that pitch and I'm forcing it into the material. Now, what if I did something different than wood?
Metal.
Who wants to try something different than wood? Emmy? And then Gavin?
Catch my phone.
And then Olivia?
I'm gonna be the best, yes
You
sir.
Well, that'd still be wood, but you can do this part of the desk. You can do that. Okay, you gotta be really quiet.
But wouldn't the markers and stuff take?
So I'd hit it on the desk, somewhere harder, and then put it on there. And you're not gonna break it, so you can go ahead and hit it.
It's like it snaps.
You hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know it's traveling through metal. Gavin?
Try that chair.
Doing it on the wall.
Okay, listen.
Oh my god.
We should try it on.
Okay, so it's
We
traveling
should
through
try it
the
on the
wall.
roof.
Olivia?
Oh god, this is gonna be silly.
I'm gonna be the best,
But
yes
gonna
sir.
be for this one. You guys are gonna be jumping through
Okay,
skin.
where
Can
do
we
you
do it
go?
on your phone?
Skin.
On your body? Okay, go ahead and try it. You can't hear it, right? But what's interesting is if I set this on a bone,
It vibrates on
I
your
can hear it inside my head.
That is decent.
Now, what do you think? Shh, we probably don't have time for more people to do it. Sorry. Now, what do you think will happen?
Try them together.
Shh, listen. Okay, we can try that.
Try it.
Gavin wants to know what happens if I put the ends together.
That's what I said.
Okay, so
What? You're supposed to slap them at the same time.
Don't mix the
do you know why though?
Because you just slap them at the same time.
Because they don't have another piece of material to travel through. They're just traveling out both ways. Now, what if I put both of these on the table?
Then it would make a noise.
It makes, okay, Gavin's got a guess, what is it?
It'll make a louder.
A louder noise, okay, what else?
I think it will be the same.
Talon?
It won't work.
It won't work? Anybody else? Anna?
I don't think it'll be the same sounds. Like it'll be maybe a mixture. You'll hear the several ones, but it's not gonna be the same time as the first one.
Okay, anybody else? Let's try it, okay, gotta listen.
They're harmonizing.
They are harmonizing.
You should, since it doesn't have anything to travel through, you should click them and then put them on the tissue.
Yeah.
You know you're wrong.
Hey, shh. Now, we've only talked so far about forced resonance, right? Me taking a pitch and forcing it on the material. Now, sympathetic resonance is something completely different. What is sympathetic resonance? Hannah?
Isn't it where the sound just naturally goes into something?
Yeah, so the sounds naturally have a relationship, okay? So they function with each other and actually create other pitches, okay? Now, this doesn't work with these kinds of keyboards. And if we had an acoustic piano, I could show you this. But a real piano has what inside
I
of it?
have a real piano. A bird.
Talent?
It has like springs, like chord strings.
Strings.
It's
Yeah,
strings.
they look, the big ones look like springs, huh?
And they are.
So if I was to take off, there's also dampener pedals that make sure that the sound waves don't move, right? That stay on the strings.
They put a cloth
Okay.
to it and absorb all the energy.
Right, there's felt that absorbs the sound. Now, if I took off, all of those dampeners, and then I pushed a specific note, what do you think would happen as that sound waves travels through the strings?
It wouldn't have like a stopping point unless it ran energy.
Well, yeah, eventually it does. But do I have do I have any strings that might catch that wave?
No.
Yeah.
Yes, okay? So, as a matter of fact, there's a thing called a harmonic, now I can't think of the word, spectrum, a harmonic spectrum, where if I play a C, typically I will hear a C, E, G, maybe a B, okay? So, as that sound wave travels, anything that has a harmonic relationship with it is going to start to vibrate, okay? So that would be an example of sympathetic resonance. There's also another kind of sympathetic resonance. So if I were to jump on, if I had a bunch of people lined up on a bridge and jumped in a specific frequency, I could actually get the bridge to move, okay? That would be sympathetic resonance, okay? And I wish I had another way of showing you that. I didn't really think about.
But you don't stand on the table and play it.
Well, I'm trying to think of a way we can do sympathetic resonance on it, right?
You get a rope and
you
get a whole bunch of other ropes and then
We can stand up on
together
chairs.
with other ropes. And then we all stand in and then put a rope on it.
Yeah. Okay, so if I have a choir singing and they're singing a specific chord,
Oh, like the ones we did where we all stood in a circle.
right?
Yeah.
So
You're right in the camera.
that's fine. If I had 3 different notes, gentlemen, I need you to stop. So if I had a choir singing this chord, which is a major, C major chord, and they all sing the notes perfectly in harmony, then I'm going to start hearing notes above those that are called overtones, okay? So they have a harmonic relationship with each other,
It's really hard.
okay? And it's really hard to actually get overtones.
Especially
Okay.
when your teacher gives you a note you can't sing.
But you have to really be able to listen to each other, okay?
Put the harmony.
Now, I realize that we have pass-offs that we're supposed to do Friday. And you do have class on Wednesday. But when you come back on Wednesday, we'll talk about how we will manage that because we had a day where we weren't on the pianos, okay? So, I saw a really cool t-shirt one time
That's mine.
that has the word music. But I can't remember exactly.
Manage all that.
Okay?
That's cool.
So, music is not just one thing, right? Music is science, it's history, it's language, it's math, it's culture, okay? That's the really cool thing about music is that it translates into all these different disciplines, okay? So what I taught you today is what?
Science.
Science. It's science as it relates to music, okay? Now quickly clean up the room, put your books away, make sure your keyboards are closed, everything off.